So I started watching the second season of 13 Reasons Why, and I have realized that my little video project is kind of my version of the cassette tapes. Except, of course, I'm not a gorgeous teenage girl. I'm not going to kill myself at the end of the videos. And it's not a cry for help. It's just, to me, it's kind of a documentary, and part of my endless search for understanding. And instead of being a cry for help, it's an acceptance of the way things are, even as sad as it is. So anyway, I thought that the next little slice of my life that I would throw out there is about the opportunities that I had to get married, because I actually did have a handful. So when I was 17, I was dating a guy at church, because, you know, I was in church and we were really only supposed to date other people in our church. And, you know, the whole goal of that particular church, but main goal for the UPC churches in general was, you know, get married and have kids, add to the church population, and of course, you know, people wanted to do this as early as possible, because you're teenagers, you're 17, 18, and you've got all the hormones going, just like all teenagers, or most teenagers, but you can't do anything about it until you're married, you know. So, everybody, I mean, you know, 17, 18-year-olds dying to get married. So, he and I basically, you know, made plans and said that we were going to, but it wasn't ever really anything official. And, you know, that was, even though it was traumatic for me at the time when we broke up, you know, I was just so young and naive and dumb. And it's a really, really good thing that never happened, because, well, we just weren't compatible, you know. I mean, even going to the same church together, we just weren't compatible. So, alright. So, not the next one. I'll come back to that one. I guess the third one I had would have been this boyfriend that I had for about a year and a half, from like 19 and a half, you know, to 21. Something like that. And he was, well, I was going through a phase, and, you know, Freudians would probably say that it related to me feeling abandoned by my father. But I was going through a 19, 20-year-old phase of having boyfriend who was twice my age. So, boyfriend slash father figure, you know, kind of messed up. But, and, well, he wanted to get married. He never made an official proposal to me, but he told me that he wanted to get married, and what it took me a little while to find out, though, was that if I had decided to do that, I would have been wife number 4 or 5. I mean, that in itself just not only doesn't appeal to me, but shows a huge incompatibility. And we weren't compatible either. I mean, I got, aside from the marriage thing, I just, I realized that relationship was not for me. He was not the one for me. And any of you who know me at all, if you had known him, you would agree with me, because, well, the intelligence, that sounds kind of snobby when I say it, but I do need a certain intelligence level, you know, probably above average at least, to be compatible, and that goes both ways, you know. I think he was maybe a little below average in that department, just based on when I tried to explain algebra to him when he was going to Western, and just, wow. He had some kind of mental block about math in general, I think. But still, you know, he was inappropriately old for me. We just weren't a match. So, I guess time number 4 then, or semi-proposal number 4, would have been my son's dad, because, well, after my son was born, he was a baby, his dad was just basically said, you know, maybe we should get married, it would be more convenient, because he was helping me to babysit him and stuff, so, and I don't know if I ever even seriously considered that. I mean, he was right, that would have been more convenient, but we had lasted together for maybe a year, because we just, I know I keep saying incompatible, but that is the consistent problem. And not necessarily that it's so hard for someone to be compatible with me. That's not what I'm saying, even if that's true. What I'm saying is that I just kept picking wildly incompatible guys for some reason. So, anyway, his dad, you know, he's not a bad person. He and I are friends. But we hadn't lasted as boyfriend or girlfriend for more than a year. So, I didn't see how that could possibly work out as a marriage, you know? I mean, come on. That's... just, you know... in that... When I was dating him, when I was living with him, even, he knows everything. He knows all of the answers to everything, and he seemed to look on me like I knew nothing, and I had no voice, you know. he he never listened to anything that I had to say. It was like he dismissed it all, like she knows nothing, you know. And that was incredibly frustrating. But anyway, so I just didn't think that was a good idea, because I really have strong feelings about, if you're going to marry someone, at least, I mean, no, you can't predict the future, but you can have a pretty good idea if, you know, someone asks you to marry them and you look at them and you're like, I don't see this lasting more than a year or two before we, you know, hate each other or want to kill each other, you know, it so why? I don't believe that you should get married in that circumstance, or it's not for me, okay? So, but anyway, I've saved proposal number 2 for the last, just because it's bizarre. I think this was a little before I started dating my 40-year-old boyfriend, because I think I was 19. I was working as a waitress at this little restaurant, and one of the assistant managers there asked me out on a date, and I was like, okay, you know, young, dumb, naive. He was maybe a tiny bit attractive. I didn't know him very well, you know. And the date was so unmemorable that I don't remember much about it. I don't know. I have a vague memory of ending up at his house after whatever that we did. Went out to eat, went to the movies. I don't remember. But I do have a vague memory of him, like, trying to make out with me, and me just being totally and completely turned off and disgusted by that and having no interest whatsoever. Okay, but I was young, dumb, naive, I couldn't bring myself to come out and say straight up, hey, no, I'm just not interested. You know, I was trying to be nice. And so I guess he took that as encouragement. I don't know. But anyway, probably, I don't know, maybe a few weeks later, he called me into the office when we were both working together, and I went and sat down in a chair across from his desk. He shut the door, and he sits down behind the desk, and he says, well, you know, I know you're in school right now, and you have a couple of years left, but I was thinking that after you graduated, we could get married. And as I'm sitting here saying this right now, I can't believe it. Even though I know what happened, because it was just shocking, you know? That was the last thing. I thought he was calling me in there something to do with work, and then to go on one date with a guy and him ask me to marry him. What? I just have no words for this. And the crazy thing is that is not the only or even craziest thing that someone has said to me in my life. I'll talk about some more of those later.